Everyone. Next, we have HeartSciences, Inc., trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol HSCS, and is a medical technology company focused on applying innovative AI-based technology to an ECG, also known as EKG, to expand and improve an ECG's clinical utility. Happy to welcome its CEO, Andrew Simpson. Welcome to the conference today, Andrew.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate you having me.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Anna. So everybody's heard of somebody that's had a heart attack unexpectedly or died of a heart attack unexpectedly. And the reason for that is there's no method of detecting whether you've got heart disease in an early stage environment in a simple way. And that's what we're about solving. We're about providing the ability to screen for heart disease. We're using the ECG, also known as an EKG. It's a 100-year-old technology, applying AI to it to make it detect a much broader range of heart disease and to do that much earlier. And look, the challenge in heart disease isn't in cardiology. Cardiologists have got lots of imaging-based equipment, but it's very expensive. It's too expensive to screen with. We're about using the humble ECG and making a far more valuable clinical tool. So our safe harbor, I'll say things which are forward stating, and we are currently in the process of an offering, and this does not constitute an offering. Any subscriptions, that needs to be via the official process. So look, ECGs are 100 years old, and the whole ECG sector is absolutely archaic, but AI, applying AI to the ECG to make it much more valuable, is going to provide the impetus and the revenue impetus to upgrade this entire sector. And it's been said that AI ECG is actually going to transform cardiovascular medicine. So we're looking at addressing a $500 billion healthcare burden just in the US. So this is an enormous market, and we're going to be providing a recurring revenue model, paying for algorithms, paying on a SaaS basis. We've had $75 million of investment to date, and we're extremely close to going through FDA processes with our device. Our first phase of our cloud platform that allows these algorithms to be provided on all of existing ECGs out there has been completed and is now in the second phase. And we're about providing AI ECG in any healthcare environment. So be that a big healthcare institution through to a mobile nurse screening program. Today, Mount Sinai is our largest shareholder, and that's because they licensed all of their intellectual property in this space to us and did that without cash, but took stock. And we are the only company in this space that's building an end-to-end solution. So we're going to have a device with embedded software in that, providing ECG. We're having a software platform which enables this to be delivered via existing ECGs out there in the field. And we're also building a platform which will enable ECG infrastructure in hospitals to be upgraded, which is really important, which I'll get into later. And this isn't a science project. This is being fundamentally de-risked. There's now hundreds of papers saying that this is all not just possible or feasible, but it's actually happening. The FDA has designated a specific new clinical pathway for AI ECG. So it's now the most simple process of 510K. The American Medical Association has granted CPT codes for AI ECG. And as of January this year, Medicare has started to reimburse at $128 per test, which is double conventional ECG and on top of conventional ECG. And we've got lots of clinical evidence because we were first in the space, lots of patents, and we are the only listed company in this space for anybody to invest in. And with that, we're going to play a video which will summarize what we're doing.
Heart disease is a leading cause of death worldwide. Everyone knows somebody that's been affected, but early detection remains frustratingly out of reach. Cardiologists have got advanced heart imaging, but it's expensive and highly specialized equipment's required. The standard frontline test is the traditional electrocardiogram, which is known as an ECG or an EKG, but it misses most forms of heart disease until it's too late. There's up to 1 billion ECG tests performed around the world every year, and solving this major diagnostic problem is the major challenge. HeartSciences is leading this change by applying artificial intelligence to the ECG to make it detect heart disease much earlier. Our AI analyzes frequency and energy data in ECG signals, which is beyond what the human eye can see and enables broader life-saving diagnosis. We're the only company building next-generation AI ECG device hardware, cloud-native software, and AI ECG algorithms to create a comprehensive, upgraded solution for early heart disease detection with an ECG. This isn't a future concept that's happening right now. The FDA has already classified AI ECG as a new technology. Medicare has approved $128 of reimbursement per test, and Mayo Clinic is among the first to adopt AI ECG. We're on track for FDA clearance this year, and Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, one of America's elite cardiology institutions, is our biggest shareholder and has been instrumental in the development of our technology. Plus, we already have international distributors on board. Our revenue model is low cost, pay per test, so that health systems can avoid large upfront costs, and we unlock recurring revenues and are able to drive rapid adoption.
AI is transformative. It gives you a lens and a window to examine the heart in new ways. Participating in this evolution is going to be critical, and we are very happy to have Rutger participate along with HeartSciences and collaborate on some of these initiatives in the Innovation Center.
At HeartSciences, we're shaping the standard of care in a market that today is $13 billion and is forecast to rapidly expand to $30 billion over the next 10 years. Our team comprises seasoned business leaders, successful startup entrepreneurs, and experts with deep relationships among elite cardiologists. We have decades of experience in cardiac technology development with FDA approvals and a team with roles at companies like St. Jude Medical and Boston Scientific. So we are ready to bring AI ECG to the mainstream. We look forward to you joining us on our mission to transform cardiovascular screening, save millions of lives, and create a more sustainable healthcare system for future generations.
Okay, so we are currently undertaking a Reg A offering, which is ongoing as we speak. That is a unit consisting of a convertible series share, which can be converted at any time to tradable common stock, plus a warrant, which is exercisable for 3 years. And the pre-money valuation on that is $4 million, which reflects our, my opinion, derisory market cap because we've been beaten up. And that's after $75 million of investment. That is being led by Digital Offering, who specialize in Reg A offerings. And look, we have had $75 million invested in this company to get to the edge of commercialization. This is now a field which is emerging rapidly, AI ECG, and we're one of the leaders in this. We expect FDA submission of our device in the very near term, and we've just literally launched in the last couple of weeks our phase 1 cloud native software platform to early adopters. And the unit makes a lot of sense based on the target analyst price of $13. You'd have 500% upside based on the unit. Our common stock closed at $3.49 last night. So, buying the unit at $3.50, not investment rise, would make sense. And the pre-money on the round is $4 million against $75 million with invested capital. And the money that we would raise, $15 million, we would expect to get us all the way through FDA clearances and into revenue. And look, people think, cardiovascular must be a cardiology product. ECGs are ubiquitous in healthcare. They're used everywhere in healthcare. It's the frontline tool that's used outside of cardiology. And AI ECG is going to transform the clinical value of the ECG in those environments. So it's used from family practitioners to endocrinology, pre-anesthesia testing, screening, athlete testing, you name it. And if you just took one of those markets, endocrinology, people build whole businesses in endocrinology. And endocrinologists, so 95% of their patients are diabetic. And they said to us, look, a tool that can help us assess heart health in those patients would be enormously valuable. And that for us is just one subset market. So it is no wonder that this is forecast to grow to be an extremely large market and to be rapidly growing. And there's over 100 million ECGs undertaken today in the US. There's 12 million echoes, and AI ECG is the bridge between those two tests. There's 1 billion ECG tests performed around the world. And in the US, half of patient visits to frontline medicine to ambulatory care are patients with high risk factors for heart disease. And look, ECG's been around a long time. The big boys have got devices that really haven't been upgraded for decades. It's, you know, the current technology is decades old. There have been some innovations to ECG, but primarily around the way that you use it or wear it, which is making it easy. For iRhythm's an example. It's produced a Holter monitor, so you wear a patch on your chest instead of a Holter monitor. Not fundamentally different in its indications, but easier to wear. And that's now a $4 billion market cap business. So there's enormous value being created just by changing form factor. And we are one of a tiny number of companies that are actually pushing forward commercialization of transformation of the clinical value of ECG. And we're about providing a simple environment so you can use the tool that works for you, which depending on your health environment. So we've got a device, which is a state-of-the-art ECG, which has an embedded algorithm for early heart disease. And we've spent millions of dollars in 2024 developing the phase 1 of our Insights platform, which basically will enable AI ECG to be delivered on the millions of in situ ECG devices that are in place around the world. And we're not just building that software platform to just deliver some algorithms. We are gearing up to deliver a generational upgrade in ECG management systems. And every reasonable hospital system around the world needs an ECG management system. They can't all afford it today. These systems are legacy systems because there's been little investment in ECG. So they're on-premise, server-based, heavy IT list, costly, lack cybersecurity in today's data secure world. So our first phase of an ECG reporting platform has been completed. We've just launched to early adopters who are going to provide reference sites, and I expect that you'll see first signups on that imminently. Phase 2 is underway, which is about adding ECG or AI ECG algorithms to that reporting platform. And then phase 3 will be providing an ECG management system, which is allowing hospital institutions to radically upgrade the way that they manage ECG data within their organizations, which can be millions and millions of patients long. And the collaboration process, the people involved in that have been, well, they speak for themselves, being elite collaborators. It's run on an AWS platform, and they've been extremely instrumental. And our device is extremely straightforward. It sits next to patients. It's portable. It's run in exactly the same way as a conventional ECG. So there's nearly no retraining required. In fact, there probably is no retraining required. But it has an embedded algorithm that provides an algorithm for the first manifestation of any form of heart disease in its earliest form. So you can basically, if you're a frontline physician, understand whether somebody's got early stage heart disease. And that's a 20-second test that also provides all of today's conventional ECG information. We are one of the companies in the world that has one of the broadest portfolios of AI ECG algorithms. We licensed 13 algorithms from Mount Sinai. Look, the key question is, why would Mount Sinai do something with a $4 million company? And the primary reason is because they understood when they got into it that we know what we're doing. So we have a lot of deliverables in the near term. We've completed a whole heap of things in terms of a device that's near ready for FDA submission, a cloud platform that's nearly complete, all the patient study enrollment and core lab work and everything around the validation for the device is in place, which puts us in a position that we would expect to be submitting for that device in the very near future, weeks or a couple of months. And on the Insights platform, we would expect the early adopter reference sites to start signing up in the very near future. And the first AI ECG algorithm that we would take through the process will be a low ejection fraction algorithm, and we would expect that to be submitted around the end of this year. So there's a lot of upcoming events for us, which would put us on track for clearances on the device around the end of this calendar year, clearances for the AI ECG on the platform around the middle of next year, and revenue next year. And from a revenue perspective, the revenue opportunity is extremely significant. There are estimates that there's 1 billion ECG tests undertaken around the world. There's an enormous drive or incentive for healthcare institutions to adopt this, which is in the US, reimbursement's already been put in place by Medicare, and that's at double conventional ECG. And you would also get the conventional ECG on top of that because that's the base test. The device has got proprietary supplies. So you would expect, even with say 10,000 devices in place, and there's 700,000 devices sold a year worldwide, you have $100 million plus of revenue recurring out of the device. The Insights platform will be pay-per-use or subscription-based against the backdrop that you would take a reasonable slug of the $128. So very quickly, against a market where there's huge global use, you would generate very significant revenues. And we were the first in this space. We were the first people with a clinical publication before Mayo Clinic, before anybody else. So we have a lot of patents, a lot of very valuable granted patents, which, in the fullness of time, as commercialization fleshes out in this industry, we would expect to be very valuable. And coming to an end, but we're a small company. It's easy to feel you've been beaten up from a market perspective. But the quality of the institutions and the researchers that want to do work with us is fantastic. And I think that's because they recognize that the only way to solve early detection of heart disease is going to be through a simple frontline test, the ECG, and the AI provides that opportunity. So, to summarize, it is going to be a monstrous market. It's addressing such a big challenge. We have had $75 million invested. We're on the cusp of major milestones. We're currently undertaking a Reg A offering at $4 million of pre-money valuation. So, you can take that as an opportunity. With the proceeds from that, we would expect to get all the way through FDA clearances for both products, and we would expect to get into revenue. And we are the only company delivering end-to-end solutions or working on end-to-end solutions. And this, as I emphasize, is not a science project. This is now already has its own pathway through the FDA, already has CPT codes, and already has reimbursement in place. So with that, I look forward to taking questions. Thank you.
Wonderful, Andrew. Yes, thank you so much. If you can, please provide an overview of the other ECG providers in your space and talk a little bit about what differentiates you from them.
Okay. Well, look, the legacy providers of ECG, and if anybody on this call has ever had an ECG, they may recognize that the device they had, it looks like a 90s fax machine because they're just so archaic. I mean, they literally do. Those legacy providers are big companies like GE or Philips because the industry was consolidated because there was no innovation. So I'll focus on the other people in AI ECG. So the industry formed through clinical institutions publishing research because you need the data to be able to produce algorithms. There's a tiny handful of people commercializing this. So one is a company called Anamana, who I'd say is the only real company that I would say that we're doing something opposite. That is a spin out from Mayo Clinic. It had algorithms licensed into it by Mayo Clinic, who's done a lot of research in this space. They have one algorithm, which is ejection fraction, which has just been cleared by the FDA. I don't believe there's any clinical use of that going on at the moment. But the key thing is they have developed that algorithm as an application. We are developing and have developed a platform, and think of the platform like an app store. We're going to be able to provide any or host any algorithm on that, be it ours, be it third party, give the opportunity for health providers to pick and choose what they use. Whereas Anamana have got an app with an algorithm, and that is a really hard ask of clinical institutions to put lots and lots of different apps together. They're currently trying to do a private capital round, or they're partway through a private capital round, and the valuation on that, I don't know, but I certainly believe it's over $100 million. If you ask me to guess, I'd say it's probably in the multi-$100 million valuation. And they do not have a device. They do not have a device product, which we spent a lot of money on. Then the only two others really that have got product, one is Viz AI, which is a private company, which has one algorithm for AFib, which is a more conventional indication. But they're really a clinical decision support tool, and they're focused on a lot of other areas. This is a very tangential thing for them that they don't seem to be pushing forward on. And the other is Tempus AI, which people may be familiar with, which is a very big, recently listed multi-billion-dollar company. But they're primarily focused on genomics, data. Their big things that they've announced are genetics-based work and work with farmers on clinical trials setups and matchings. And I think they seem to have developed one algorithm which was for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. They don't mention cardiovascular anywhere in their filings, and that doesn't seem to be at all an area of focus for them. So really, there's us with an end-to-end solution, valued at what we're valued at. There's Anamana with an application for an algorithm that's has an approval for that, but no revenue at the moment. And they're also going down a more specialist electrophysiology pathway rather than frontline care. Hopefully that helps, Amit.
It does. Thank you for that. So talk a little bit about why now is a good time to invest in HeartSciences. What should investors be on the lookout for in 2025 and 2026? Okay,
so, well, there's an obvious why now, which is we're doing an offering. It's a unit-based offering at $3.50, and our stock price is higher than that. And you'll get the benefit of the upside from a warrant as well as from an immediately convertible preferred stock, which has got priority. And then in terms of why now, from a landscape perspective, we are on literally the cusp of, after many years and really hard yards, not everything in life is easy, of going through the FDA submission process and then on to clearance for our device. And, that has been in development for, a number of years. And then our software platform, phase 1 is complete. The feedback on that platform is phenomenal. I mean, literally phenomenal. Executives who are bothered about revenue, they see the revenue opportunity for AI ECG within their institutions. The IT departments within health institutions who are saying, wow, this provides instant cybersecurity, interoperability. It's not on-premise based, it's not server based. Those are heavy, expensive IT lifts. And then physicians who are telling us that this is going to save them significant time and enable them to do readings that they were never able to do before. And those are all coming down the pike, in the next 12 months.
Perfect. Thank you for that. You mentioned it, so go back and summarize a little bit about the Reg A offering and where can one go to invest through it?
Okay. Well, the best way is we have a website which is invest.heartsciences.com. You can actually get to that through our main website, which you click on a link in the top tabs. I've kind of probably beaten this to death, but the terms are a unit offering, which is a unit of preferred stock, which has priority, immediately convertible at any time into trade or common, and a warrant, which enables you to buy a further security within a 3-year period at a fixed price, which upon exercise would also be immediately tradable. And the cost of that is $3.50 per unit. Anna, I'm sorry, but you've gone silent on me.
Yes, sorry, I muted myself and forgot to unmute. My apologies. Let's talk about the frontline workers in healthcare. What are their reactions to this? The doctors, nurses, people who use devices like this all the time, what do they think? I mean, the feedback is phenomenal because everybody, it's the biggest killer of people in the world, heart disease, and bigger than all cancers combined. And so you've got people who today do not have a method of understanding whether a patient has disease. So the algorithm portion of this enables them to see things with people coming into a frontline office environment that they were never able to see before. So that there's the patient care benefit. We've been told that just the way that our platform organizes records will enable a physician who's doing 50 readings a day to save a minute to a minute and a half per reading. Well, you give a physician an hour and a half of their day back every day. That's a huge thing. You've got physicians that are saying the way that we do filtering, which is we apply modern filters, they can read things that they've never been able to read. And on top of that, you've got the win with IT departments who are huge gatekeepers for clinical institutions saying, this makes enormous sense for us. And then, the revenue opportunity for, where a lot of health institutions are actually, semi-struggling, there's just a win-win-win all around: patient benefit, health system benefit, cost savings from not having to deal with acute stage disease. I'm super excited about it, Anna. Wonderful. Well, that's the most important part, the feedback from those who use it the most and understand this. So thank you. Such important work you're doing, Andrew. Yes, the #1 killer. And so you're helping this and everyone who's affected by this. So we appreciate your time on our conference and encourage investors to take a look at your company. And we would love to have you again in the near future. Thank you for your time, Andrew.
Thanks, Anna. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody for taking the time to listen. So thank you.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back.